Well, did you hear the news last week that Meghan Markle's new podcast called Archetypes, which is available on Spotify, has officially unseated the king, Joe Rogan? So, um, and I call BS on this, and I'll tell you why. This just seems strange to me that somebody who a lot of us and a lot of my friends on social media don't pay any attention to the royal family, right? It was a thing back in the 80s and the 90s for my generation, the royal wedding and, Princess Diana. But after that, everybody kind of, fell out of love with, the royals. So how does her Spotify show, which is not even video, it's only audio, get so many enough views to be the number one podcast on Spotify? And I'm going to try to explain to you how this works based on what my knowledge is. Okay, so a lot of these things, whether you publish a book, whether you have a new song out as an artist, a lot of times, even sporting events, your promotions people will buy your book. Okay, so the publishing company, you've written a book, the publishing company, to promote it, right? This is called promotions, will buy a couple of internal copies, right? So just to get the ball rolling, to get the buzz out there, they'll buy a couple of thousand of your books. So that automatically, artificially inflates your sales. Okay. Same thing with Spotify, Apple, any of these music streaming services. Typically, either your promotions team, management team, the record label itself, whatever, if you're a private label, will artificially purchase plays. So I got into a conversation with a friend of mine last week, and it just so happened that this Meghan Markle thing was happening around the same time, but we were talking about music, and we were talking about his favorite band, and he said The Killers. I said, yeah, I remember them, the early 2000s. They had a song that came out in, like, I can't remember, like mid 2000s. Wasn't international success, right? It wasn't like Coldplay or U2 or Michael Jackson or Prince or anything like that. And so I looked up on my phone, looked on Spotify, and I saw that they have 40 million monthly followers on Spotify. The Killers. I'm like, there's no way. Their number one song has got over 1 billion plays. And I was like, well, let's do a little experiment here. So I said, let's look up Led Zeppelin. And so we looked up Led Zeppelin, and they only have like 17 million followers. And Stairway to Heaven only has like over so many, 100 million plays compared to the Killers and their billion plays. And I said, well, let's keep looking. Let's look at like Prince. Let's look at Adele. Let's look at Michael Jackson. Let's look at some country artists. And we just kind of looked throughout everything. And it's like, how do the Killers have more monthly followers, on Spotify than Led Zeppelin, than Prince, than some of these other artists? I mean, Adele doesn't. Adele has like 40 million, right? That seems normal. That would seem right, right? When you think of like the global audience that loves her music. And especially when you have a lot of these artists that are global sensations, George Michael back in the day, Wham, these people toured everywhere. Metallica, these guys play concerts in Chile and Peru and places all over the world, right? There are bands that, back in the day used to perform in Russia. How is a band getting more plays on Spotify and has more monthly followers than the Beatles? And so we were talking about it, and I said, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Because you can go look, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but you can go look up you can just do a Google search or wherever search and type in how to purchase, plays on Spotify. And you can do the same thing with how you can purchase followers on Instagram, followers on Twitter. Now these are bots. These are fake accounts. And he's like, no, surely this isn't happening. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is. Having my mom worked in the music industry as an agent for the William Morris Agency, and I worked in NASCAR and Formula One and IndyCar for almost 20 something years. So I have a little bit of inside knowledge on some of these things, and I know how this stuff used to work. I don't know if it's still the same way, but using Occam's razor, we can assume that yes, this is probably more likely the easiest explanation to figure this out of how this is happening. How did her first podcast eclipse Joe Rogan's? Because I can't find any numbers. So this isn't like a TV show where you could look up the Nielsen ratings to see, how well did Monday Night Football do last night? What was the audience and then what was the demographics? A lot of these streaming services don't release that, that internal information. I don't know why. Is it because a lot of these numbers are inflated and they're trying to hide them from us? Because it's perception, right? Perception today is reality, unfortunately. It's not reality, but it's perception. So we're being programmed to think, and have been for a while, that, ooh, the more Instagram followers you have, the more Facebook friends, the more Twitter followers, the better you are in life, right? The better your life must be magnificent to have that many people. And I'm like, well, it's not real. And so I'm trying to explain to my friend this, and he's got a new podcast out. It's called The Dylan Reed Show. Good young guy from DC. Has some great people on for interviews as guests. So I'd go check him out. Is on YouTube. It's The Dylan Reed Show. And he literally just started, reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me, how to get up and running. And I tried to tell him what I've known so far. But back to this. It's like I still watch NASCAR races, and NASCAR's fan base has kind of been dwindling over the years. People are growing up. The old diehard fans of the 80s are getting older, or they're passing on, so they're not, that base isn't there anymore. And a lot of the younger kids today probably might not be interested in petrol, fueled race cars, right? They're all into sustainability and e-bikes, and maybe into the e-racing series. So they're losing a little bit of a base. But recently at the Pocono racetrack, they said during the broadcast of the race, I think it was NBC or Fox, I can't remember which one, who had Pocono, but they said that Pocono had sold out, that this was a sold out crowd this weekend. And I thought, well, the picture does not match the story, because they kept showing, when they go down the front stretch, the stands that are right there at Pocono. Pocono only has like grandstands on the front stretch as far as, like general admission, fan base. Yeah, there are bleachers on the inside behind pit wall. I don't know if they count those too, but either way, on the front stretch coming out of turn 3, because there's no turn 4 at Pocono, you could see on both ends there were massive amounts of empty seats. So how could both things can't be true, right? It's sold out, yet there's empty seats. I thought that's what sold out meant, was that there was no seats. It wasn't even standing room, right? But clearly you could see big pockets of empty seats. And I get it, right? You bought a ticket 3 months ago. You thought you had the weekend off. You get called in. You can't give none of your friends want the tickets. So that's an empty seat. But I'm talking hundreds of empty seats. So it just doesn't make sense. Or was it more likely what normally used to happen back in the day when I was younger, was that, maybe the racetrack bought those tickets themselves, gave them to local radio stations, gave them to the local TV stations, gave them to local charities, to boys and girls clubs, to bring people in. Anything you didn't sell, you would give away. When I was a kid growing up here in Nashville, it'd always be, if somebody was coming to town, big concert, they would give tickets away to local radio stations, and you would call in, caller number 7 win two front row tickets to whatever this concert is. And all my friends would sit around the radio and try to be caller number 7. So that was kind of a promotional thing, right? So they would buy those tickets, either, like I said, the record label, management, whoever, the label, to promote this, because you don't want a half empty audience. That doesn't help, right? So sold out is always good. And how do you transfer that into something like television, right? You want to have high ratings. That way you can sell more advertisements. If you're the number 1 rated show, then everybody wants to put their commercials on your series, whether it's a comedy or a sitcom or a drama show, and that's what the news is doing. So when you watch like CNN and all you see is like Pfizer ads and well, hey, like Fox News, if you're the number one show, you're going to get more sponsorship. That's more money. That's how you keep your business running, and that's how it works for a lot of these other things. So how does somebody unseat somebody who's getting, on average, from the information I could find, like I said, you have to do an exhaustive search here, to even get any kind of numbers. And the most recent thing I found was from February, a few months ago, and it was just a news article that said Joe Rogan, on average, right, gets an estimated, right. So you got to pay attention to these words. On average, an estimated 11 million listeners per episode, right? And some are more, some are lower, right? Because he'll have somebody on that everybody might want to listen to, and then somebody else that maybe it's a science guy or a technology guy is maybe not as interesting, and so those don't get as many views. But on average, 11 million views per episode. This is just on Spotify. This is not including the clips that he puts up on YouTube. So how does Meghan Markle eclipse 11 million listens? Because like I said, it's audio only. When you go to Spotify, I watch it on my TV, and you can do it on your phone, your tablet, your computer. You can actually watch the Joe Rogan, show. So it's also video. You can listen to audio only, but I like to watch the show because they're 3 hours long. Now, her podcast was like 55 minutes. I tried listening. I really did. Because I knew I wanted to talk about this week. And it was just so painful. I mean, the first 5 minutes was just her, me, and I. And I just, ugh. Like, is everybody right? This one is a complete narcissist. I don't know. I don't know her. I don't care about her. I used to watch her on the TV show Suits, and that's all I knew, about her career. So I don't know her personally. I hear all the horror stories, so, and we all do. And apparently on this one podcast, she was talking about a story where she and Harry flew off to I think it was Africa, and they had to go to a ceremony. As soon as they landed, they had to be somewhere, right, to do their royal duties. And so they had to leave baby Archie. So they call him baby Archie. He's the baby Jesus. They had to put baby Archie with the nanny, and a fire broke out in his room. In little baby Archie's room, a fire. It was horrific. The way she tells the story on her podcast, it was like a scene from the movie Backdraft, with Kurt Russell. Like, holy hell! Literally, there was like a fire, a huge 5-alarm blaze. And then I did some research and watched all the news reports about this from like Sky Australia and others, and we're saying, well, actually, the baby wasn't even in the room. He was with the nanny downstairs. She was going to put him down for a nap, but decided to get a snack instead. So he wasn't even in the room, wasn't near the room, and it was a little personal kind of heater thing, and it was smoking and was unplugged, and that resolved the issue. But on her podcast, right, and this is kind of what narcissists do, is turn it into, they add more to the picture. So it's now a 5-alarm fire. So with knowing this, knowing that the fallout that happened after the Oprah interview with her and Harry, and everybody trashing them, and even people that love the Royals were like, I'm done with these two. These two I'm done with. How did she get this many plays on Spotify to unseat Joe? And this is where I would use one of Joe's, would say that there's a little fuckery going on here, right? There's something artificial happening here for that to have happened. Because I even went to Spotify's Instagram channel, and they made a post 7 days ago from today saying that the Duchess's new podcast, Archetypes, is available on Spotify today. And as of right now, today, it's only gotten 20,000 likes on Instagram, on Spotify's Instagram. I found her royal Instagram page, and there's been nothing uploaded on there since 2020. So she's not even engaging with her royal official account. I can't find a Meghan Markle, the person, Instagram account, with a blue check mark. I can't find a Twitter account with a blue check mark for her. I see lots of fan pages. And even those postings of this show, no likes, no nothing. Like whenever I upload one of my videos from YouTube, whenever I publish it, it says, where do you want to also post this? Facebook, Instagram. I don't think it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. That's how I get the word out. Hey, I've got a new video up, and plus, on my subscribers who are get a notification if they hit the bell. So, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so you'll get notified whenever I put up a new podcast. Because if you weren't subscribed to her channel and you didn't know, how did you know to watch this? So how did this get that many views? It would have had to have beaten 11 million to Unseat Joe, if that's the right number. I don't know what the number is because there's nothing to gauge this on. There's nothing that I can find that says, here's the most, and this is how she got to number one. Because in the music industry, they have like the top 40, right? The top 100, the top whatever. And to unseat the number one, your song has to get more plays by DJs throughout the United States. Again, that's how it used to work. I guess a lot of people don't listen to radio anymore. I haven't listened to a radio station not in like 3 or 4 years because I listen to Spotify. So that's which I also have. My podcast is on there, as well as Google Podcast and Apple Podcasts. So if you want to listen, go there. But I suggest watching the videos here on YouTube. So is that more likely what has happened? Is that either her production company or her management or somebody, her publishers of her book, bought some bot plays? Because like I said, when you see this, you can just Google anywhere. And there are hundreds of websites, hundreds of companies that if you spend a certain amount of money, they will guarantee you so many views, so many subscribers, so many likes, so many whatever on Instagram. You can buy Instagram likes for your posts. And I started looking at more accounts, and I was like looking at The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has got like over 116 million followers on Instagram. Let's compare that to Twitter. And he's got like 12 to 15 million on Twitter. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You don't even have a 16th of the amount of followers on Twitter. Now, I know it's the less used app, right? It's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I don't know where TikTok falls, and I don't mess with that. I don't mess with TikTok. I have a channel on there or a page, but it just has one of my trailer videos. I just don't want to go on there and do songs and dances or whatever. So YouTube is my home. My audio version of this will go out to all the podcast platforms for people that want to listen to audio only. But this is my main home right here is YouTube. We have a good partnership together. So, and it's growing. And thank you for all the people that do subscribe. So I want real people, to watch my show and to subscribe, because that helps, my numbers, that helps my average view duration. If you have bots, subscribing, well, then they're not watching your videos, right? If you have all these bots on your Instagram and Twitter following you, they're not interacting. They're not commenting. They're not hearting your stuff on Twitter. They're not retweeting, because it's just a follower, a subscriber. So like Dale Jr. Dale Jr. has got a show on YouTube. He also has a show on Peacock, right? It's called the Dale Jr. Download. He's only got like 200 and something thousand subscribers to his YouTube channel, which isn't just him. It's not just Dirty Mo Media, which is what the channel's called. It's Dale Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media. He has another show on his same channel called Door Bumper Clear. And then he's got another one with some IndyCar guys on there. And I guess he's got a few others. But like, so all those different shows on one YouTube channel only have 200 and something thousand subscribers. Like if they were to split off Door Bumper Clear, how many views would those videos get? Right? Because they're not Dale Jr. There are a couple of guys that are spotters for NASCAR drivers. They have great conversations. I have nothing against them, right? I'm not trying to say that. They have great conversations. I don't know how they don't have more subscribers. right? Because again, these numbers don't add up. If you go to Dale Jr.'s Twitter page, he's got 2.5 million followers on Twitter. So either most of those Twitter followers are fake, or they only follow him but don't want to listen to him and watch him on his YouTube channel. That makes no sense to me. So when you look at like whoever you know your favorite star, favorite athlete, whatever, their social media numbers should kind of be similar across the board, right? You would think that they would have more people on Facebook, less people on Instagram, and way less people on Twitter, but not to that amount, not from 115 million to like 12 to 15 million. And that's what The Rock has. And you, like I said, you can search anybody and see how the numbers are off. That how does Dale Jr. have more followers on Twitter than he does on Instagram? Because he talks about how he posts all the time on Instagram. He talks about it all the time on his show. He'll do more personalized videos. Now, another thing too is a lot of these celebrities, they'll just make videos. They don't post them themselves. They have a social media manager, right? Especially a lot of companies do that, right? The CEO doesn't have time to be posting stuff on Twitter all day or on Instagram. So they have a social media manager, make it more fun. I follow Tasty Cakes. Being originally from Pennsylvania, I'm a Tasty Cake guy. So I even post some of their stuff on my Instagram. We've got a kind of good relationship together. So, and that again promotes you, right? So the better you're doing on Instagram, the better you're doing on Twitter, Facebook, the more likely you're to get people watching your YouTube videos. The more likely you're to be able to get people to listen to you on Spotify if you're a musician. So you've got to be up on social media to promote yourself. That gets the ball rolling. That's why people go on to TV shows. Back in the day when people go on to Johnny Carson and a lot of these shows, they were out there promoting a new movie that they had coming out in a few weeks, promoting a new book that they had just written that's coming out. A new project, a new play, whatever, was to promote that thing. And so since a lot of people aren't watching as much TV, and if you're a smaller person like myself, it's just me. I'm a one-person team. It's me and a laptop and a microphone and a camera. So, and some studio lights. So I don't have a budget for, marketing and things like this. The money it costs me to, to produce my show, I'm not getting back from sponsorships and things like that, like some of these people have. So I have to do word of mouth, old fashioned word of mouth, and have my friends say, "Oh, our buddy John's got a show. Go subscribe." Right. And from my other content, if you like that, I've picked up a lot of subscribers over the last year. I started literally a year ago this month and have gotten, I think, like 6,000 subscribers already. Thank you to every one of you. I mean, it's a blessing to have you out there. And it's a blessing to have the people that leave comments and get engaged, because my show is about conversations. I'm not here as a news reporter. I talk about the entertainment industry. I talk about sports. I talk about my life in motorsports. Growing up in the hospitality industry with my dad and my grandfather, and like I said, my mom being in the entertainment industry. So, I'm just a one-man show, and a one-man. I publish my own show. I produce my own show. I don't write out scripts. This is just all off the cuff, my organic thoughts about how I feel about a subject, and to have a conversation with you. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about Meghan Markle unseating Joe Rogan? Do you feel like I do? Like, that just doesn't sound right. But we're just supposed to be told that the Duchess unseated Joe Rogan and Bob's your uncle. Like, that's it. And accept that at face value. My brain doesn't work that way. I ask questions. Like, this just doesn't seem to make sense. And maybe curiosity, right? The first episode, what is this nonsense about? So all the people that reported on this in the news, so Perez Hilton put up a post on YouTube about it in a short, talking about how she's living rent-free in everybody's head. So could that curiosity have gotten, that initial push? That's going to be some of it, right? So we're going to have some of that, just the main curiosity. And then the people that were commenting on this, like me, who wanted to listen to a little bit of it, I could only get 5 minutes in. So sorry, my tolerance for BS is really low. I just could not stand hearing these over the top grandiose stories when she's got an amazing life. She should just talk about that. And she had Serena Williams on, so maybe some Serena fans tuned in, right? So when you think of those things, so she got some Serena fans probably, played it on Spotify, and then whatever her fan base is, but it's not 11 million. There's no way. Even with a global reach, there's no way. They've lost so much distrust, in her and Harry from their Oprah interview. So curiosity, and then I would imagine the rest of it is bots. It just has to be. Like Elon was right. Twitter, it's not just 5% bots. I wouldn't want to buy a company that you tell me like, hey, yeah, right. There's a lot of fake, and dead accounts. How many people created an account and they just never went back on there? I was talking about this in one of my other videos the other day where I said the internet is not being erased. If Google and any of these internet search engines are getting rid of things, how many times have you clicked on for a website, about like a local restaurant that closed, and you click on there and it shows that they're still open. It shows that that they're open today, but they went out of business a year ago because of the pandemic. Right. So no, they're going through and they're deleting all those, sites now. They're called dead accounts. You know, Facebook does this periodically where they get rid of billions of dead or fake accounts because people die. Right. So they give you an option if you want to keep up your, have like a family member take control of your Facebook page and post stuff in memorial to you. And I imagine the same thing happens with Instagram and Twitter. But, you know, when Elon was looking into buying Twitter and saw that, oh no, this number is actually a lot higher. And I would imagine it's probably like 40%. When you look at these celebrities and look at how many times they post and how involved they are, and you see that they have millions of followers, yet they're not posting hardly anything, they don't interact. And and their numbers are just so differently skewed from all the different platforms. It's not possible. Like two that I really enjoy are Camping World, because Marcus Lemonis, runs that, and he's heavily involved in NASCAR, so we appreciate that, right? And Good Sam, which is another account. Those two are hysterical. Radio Shack's account got hacked recently, and whoever whoever hacked that account did a better job than Radio Shack's own social media manager, because people were just thronging. They were going right over to it because they were posting some outrageous nonsense. So, what are your thoughts on this? Is it more likely, again, using Occam's razor, that many people really actually watched this and enjoyed this podcast versus there's probably some inflated promotion? Because, like I said, like type in your favorite artists, on Spotify, musicians, and look at how many monthly followers that they have. Monthly active listeners, I think, is what it says on Spotify. And that's only for musicians. They don't show that for podcasts. Even when you look up Joe Rogan's, it doesn't show how many active followers or any numbers or anything like that. So podcasts don't get the same treatment that the musicians do, because it was typically a musical outlet, right? Streaming service. So see if those numbers match to you when you see that, hey, Donna Summer versus the Bee Gees versus whatever. Do those numbers seem right compared to some of these obscure bands like the Killers, who have 40 million, and their number one song has got over 1 billion plays? Like, I get that for like Drake or some, like I said, or Adele or some of these other people, Megan Thee Stallion, the list goes on and on of artists that okay, well, those numbers seem right based on their audience, based on how many platinum albums and whatever they've sold and their concert dates. But then some of these more alternative, obscure bands, that's why they're alternative and obscure. Like hardly anybody knows of them. So again, like the proof's right in front of you is what I'm saying is that a lot of this is artificial. When you see some of these TikTok people and you're like, oh my God, how does this person have like 20 million followers? I bet you half of them are fake. Right? Because how sustainable is that? And then when you look and see how many comments, how many likes, that go along with that, and when it's not as many, like I said, that how could she have 11 million plays on Spotify, yet on Spotify's Instagram channel, it's only gotten 20,000 likes and only like 1,000 comments. Like none of those numbers add up. If you do just a little detective work, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not trying to do one of these things like prove me wrong. I just, based on what I know about the industry, based on what I know about how all this works. It's like when you would ever watch a movie come out, the new Maverick movie. There was trailers every 5 minutes on every channel. Whenever the new Jurassic Park movie came out, they had commercials with Burger King or Hardee's or something like that. All this cross promotion advertising trying to promote to go see this thing. Like, okay, we get it. See the commercials every 5 minutes. Well, there's nothing like that for this Meghan Markle podcast that was coming out. There was no television commercials. There was no cross promotion with McDonald's and Burger King or Impossible Burger or whatever. It was just kind of an afterthought. So if that to, outdo Joe Rogan, I call bullshit. So I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, do you look at these things the way that I do? Because this is this kind of stuff that is always in my mind of what's reality and what's perception. What game are these people trying to play by having all these fake people following them that we're supposed to treat them as like deities and false gods? I've never looked at celebrities like that. So I don't know. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. You think this is nonsense? You think it's BS like I do? Or are you a huge Meghan Markle fan? Tell me why you are. I just think it's insane. So leave me a comment down below. And again, if you enjoy my content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button, tell your friends, So I will talk to you next time on the John Malone Show.